All right, sir. Well, you've given me a lot about Bangladesh. What an education you give me. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful for it. But I've heard reports about some pretty bad things happening in Kashmir lately, and who else to go to but my expert on the region? So please tell us what the American press is not telling us about what's happening in Kashmir these days. Take it away, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Before we speak about Kashmir, I will. I prepared what do you call it, a chronological flowchart of history for Kashmir. I'd like to show you that. Share that with you and our viewers right now. So yeah, so this is what had been happening in that particular piece of lands in 1945, right? So 1945, the World War ended, and there was a new world order in the and colonization was ending. USA was picking up the reins of the Europeans in a different sort, in a different manner. USA was emerging as the new global leader of the free world. European colonies were receding one by one. So in 1947, India was liberated. The British gave India independence. Now, India was never one country. It was different kingdoms, princely estates, and other arrangements, right? So in 1947, India got their independence on 14th and 15th of August. But Kashmir was not a part of anything. Kashmir was not a part of Pakistan. Kashmir was not a part of India at that point of time. Kashmir was a princely state. It was being governed by Maharaja Hari Singh. And he had the choice of staying sovereign or join any one of the countries, India or Pakistan. Now, for the geographical location of Kashmir, it is not very, what do you call it, recommendable to be a sovereign state because it's landlocked. And what do you call it, for a country whose uh, main stream of revenue is tourism and agriculture, it is not very healthy to be landlocked. Right, so they will need access to the sea at some in one way or another. Now they had three options. Number one, they could go through China. I'm mentioning China because China also stakes a small claim in one of the Kashmir stakes a claim in the Kashmir Valley. There is Pakistan and there is India. So for Kashmir, if they want to go to the sea, reach the ocean, they have to go through either Pakistan or India or China. That is the only.
Oh, so
Those are
Kashmir has a border with China, is that correct?
they do. They
Okay.
do, and
Okay.
China takes a claim on that as well. And in 1962, there was the India-China war regarding that. So Maharaja Hari Singh had to decide if he was to stay sovereign or join India or Pakistan. Now, while he was making that decision, in late October 1947, the Pakistani tribal militia attacked Kashmir and encroached on them from the side of Pakistan. Now, after 4 days of that, Maharaja Hari Singh decided that he is gonna join India with his country, and he signed the Declaration of Secession, and the Indian army moved in to protect the territory. Right? So that there was a bit of a war. Now that's the first India-Pakistan war in 1947. So
Uh-huh.
UN was involved at some point. UN was involved, and the Pakistani part, the militia, the tribal militia, obviously backed by the army, because where else would the militia get the weapons or the logistical support? Yeah, so it's just like it was a proxy war of a sort. They did not leave the territories. Yeah, so there had been a line of control, a line of ceasefire, which is right now known as the line of control. And there had been multiple engagements around that line since then.
I
1950.
remember 1965. I remember we studied. I was in school, and we talked about
Uh-huh.
that there was a war with India and Pakistan over Kashmir, which was why I was shocked in 2025, how many years, 60 years later, that they're still fighting over the same territory.
So whatever is happening now is a continuation of that.
The British seems to have left a mess every place they colonized, because same thing, 1947, independence happens, immediately there's a
Mhm.
war.
Oh yes.
1948, independence happens in the Middle East, immediately there's a
Mhm.
war. And in both
There
cases, these wars are ongoing and haven't stopped. There's just ceasefires. There's never been real peace.
So that had been going on. There were multiple wars. Yeah, there were multiple wars between India and Pakistan regarding Kashmir. And there had been one war between India and China regarding Kashmir. So that valley had been the valley of blood since forever.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, yeah, so in the late 70s, what had been happening is insurgency. A lot of jihadist outfits, yeah, Lashkar-e Tayyiba, Harkatul Jihad, and all kind of other Arabic names. They had been frequenting that part of the world. They had been recruiting, brainwashing, propagating, yeah, and there had been a lot of suicide attacks as well from the late 70s. That's what is going on. And to get a grip on it, in 2020 or 18, I believe, there was a new amendment to the Indian Constitution, and the special status of Kashmir was revoked. And right now, Kashmir is just a usual state of India, to make sure that everything can be done in a normal procedure, and they do not have to jump a lot of hoops. Now, I know that your usual approach towards any problem is recognition and then resolution. You look for a solution. You're a solution-oriented person.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so far, regarding any of the South Asian problems, I could not offer you a solution because I could not see one myself. But for this particular one, I shall offer you a solution. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready. We're all ready.
Okay, so we'll go back to 1945. End of the World War II. What happens? So up until then, Germany have started two world wars. They lost both of them, and they caused a lot of loss of life and everything else. So they were demilitarized. The world decided that Germans, as a state, does not deserve to maintain an armed forces at this point. Why? They do not know what to do with them. They do all the wrong things. Same thing happened to Japan.
Yes.
They were demilitarized. They were demilitarized, right?
Right.
Okay, so I shall go to my next slide right now. So these had been the major military engagements that Pakistan was a part of from 1947 up until today. If you have a look, all of them were started by Pakistan. Pakistan was not defending itself at any single one of them. They started it. So Germans did it twice, their military was taken away. Japan did it once, their military was taken away. Why is Pakistan getting a preferential treatment?
Well, I think I know where you're going with your solution, but continue.
Right? So it's the country in all the human resources and development indexes is pretty much at the bottom. They have like, I mean, almost all of their resources, the majority of all their resources and money is spent on their military, while there are people starving. There are people like, living far below the line of poverty. And that military that they're raising, they're nurturing, they're keeping, this is what they're doing.
I can't
Why?
help drawing parallels to Hamas in Gaza, where Hamas is stealing the aid, and it's just a military operation. They use food money to build tunnels. Yeah.
At least the people of Gaza right now, they're rising up and telling Hamas to get lost,
Yes, which gives us a lot of hope. But that's not happening in
right?
Pakistan, huh?
No, they will just get shot. In Balochistan, they're getting shot. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they're getting shot.
Right.
Yeah, so to ensure a lasting peace in the entire Indian subcontinent, in the South Asian subcontinent, the first step is to demilitarize to demilitarize Pakistan. That would be the first step. Because think about it. Right now, whatever happened recently in Kashmir, what the reason why the incident that piqued your interest, whatever is happening in Bangladesh now, we have been pointing fingers at Pakistan for that. They have been backing certain factions, and they are suddenly in power in Bangladesh. And the Pakistani ambassador to Bangladesh, he is very busy as well. He is visiting all kind of off-limits establishments and everything. So one of like what I believe, whatever was done in Kashmir lately was to get India distracted in Kashmir so Pakistan can do what they started in Bangladesh. Pakistanis, they hold grudges. They cannot move on. As a nation, they hold grudge and they cannot move on. Think about it. So in the recorded history, how many wars did Germany and France fight between themselves? They have been fighting up until 1945. They have been fighting for last 1,000 years and maybe more.
Right.
The French people and the Germanic people, they had always been fighting for more than 1,000 years. Right now, in my city, Dhaka, they're running their embassies from the same building. So it's called the Franco-German embassy right now. It's not the French embassy or the German embassy. It's the
Wow.
Franco-German embassy.
Wow. The
It's the
world's really
same
changed. Yeah.
building. You
Yeah.
want to go for a visa interview, it's a big room with 6 counters, no partition in the middle, 3 for France, 3 for Germany. Yeah,
Right.
so 2 nations who fought for more than 1,000 years. Right now, they can shake hands and move forward. No, there wasn't even a Pakistan before 1947. It was the same people, it was the same nation. Someone drew a line, and now you have to fight each other for the rest of the time, for the rest of the eternity. It does. I mean, what is that? Yes, there had been wars between India and Pakistan. India did not start any single one of them. Yes, they did finish a couple of those, but they did not start. So I'm not going to go into the discussion of who is the good guy or who is the bad guy, but we
Right.
can clearly see the problem. Now, let's go back to the Cold War. So, China and the USSR, the Soviet Russia, they were both communist, but different kind of communist.
Right.
Yeah, Chinese and the Russians, they're not really best of the pals back in the days. So, at the height of the Cold War in the 60s, USA needed allies in this area. Now, India was allied with Russia, and India had a fight with China. We understand that Pakistan had been a darling of sort for the USA for last 60, 70 years because of certain reasons. Number one, in 1962, China and India had a war, of course, regarding Kashmir. Now, India was an ally of the Russians, so USA would not make the Indians their friends. Now, they saw that yes, Pakistan had problems with India, so enemy's enemy is my friend. In the same time, China was having problems with Russia because both of them were communist, but different kind of communism. On the other hand, USA was backing Taiwan at that point of time, so they could not really talk to China about their Russia business. So Chinese were making friends with the Pakistanis because they had a common problem in India regarding Kashmir. So USA adopted Pakistan as their South Asian friend to
Right.
talk to China through them,
Yeah.
right?
It's what
So regarding
we were taught this in school. I remember being taught in school that Pakistan was kind of an ally and India was kind of an adversary.
the only reason Pakistan was an ally because USA needed a channel to talk to China regarding Russia. They could not talk to China on a direct phone call because obviously China was a communist country and USA was aligned with Taiwan as well, so they could not really talk to China on an official basis. So they needed an ally. So that was
We-
during the Cold War, and then Pakistan was again necessary because during the Afghan operation of the US Army, the 20-year operations, they needed a local base, and Pakistan provided that. Now, mind you, Pakistan is not really your friend. They were like, yes, you took out Osama bin Laden, but where did you find him?
In
Not in
Pakistan.
Afghanistan. Not in Afghanistan,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
yeah, and they had been exporting terrorism to everywhere in the world. That is their top export. So USA, they export technology and other things. Bangladesh, we export ready-made garments. Pakistan, they export terrorism. So we need to, like, as a united global community, we need to address this. And the only way to solve this is to demilitarize that state, because number one, it should have been done a long time back, and number two, it's not that it's unheard of. No one in the history of Pakistan since 1947 have attacked them. They had always been attacking others. So I think it's time we take their gun away. They're dependent on the UN and all the other global institutions like IMF and World Bank. They're dependent on them for everything. So someone needs to bring a resolution to the UN that, yeah, let's do to Pakistan what we have done to Germany and Japan already. So if it was
Well,
okay to be done to Germany or Japan, why is Pakistan getting a preferential treatment?
right. Well, again, Germany had to be completely invaded, and Japan had to have a couple of atomic bombs dropped on them. I don't want to see. We're trying to prevent future blood being spilled. It would be wonderful, wonderful if we could do this without spilling blood in the present, to avoid spilling more blood in the future. But I agree. I see what you're saying. Pakistan has started every war, and they need to have their toys taken away. So if we can
Yeah.
do that without spilling blood, I'm all for that. I dare say the people of Pakistan are all for that. I'm sure that the regular people of Pakistan are tired of this. I would
No,
hope
they
so.
are.
And they
They
can't speak
are.
up because, like you say, they'll get shot.
Someone needs to bring a resolution to the UN about this, and they should be given an ultimatum. Like, this is the timeline you have to demilitarize yourself, and your all kind of aid that you receive will be contingent on that. Until
That,
then, some sort of sanctions.
right, right. I'd much rather see economic pressure than military pressure, and maybe economic
Yeah.
pressure can work. So,
Now, the problem is only economic pressure. What is going to happen is they're going to start selling their weapons in the black market. I mean, don't be shocked if you see an F-16 being flown by the Taliban. They have
yeah,
F-16s from USA. Yeah. Also, they also have J-7s from China as well.
right.
So, which side are they on? USA definitely needs to think really hard on that one now.
Well, I think you have a great solution there. Hey, I'd rather see them sell their weapons than use their weapons. Like I said, I knew there was trouble about this when I was a kid in the '60s,
Hmm.
and that there's still trouble now. It's so reminiscent of the ongoing war in the Middle East. Just ceasefire
Yeah.
after ceasefire, but never actual lasting peace. So I vote for lasting peace, however that could be achieved. And
So the
it
only way to
sounds,
do it is to take their toys away. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, it's good. You and I have solved it. Now let's see if
Yes,
we can
we
get the
have.
rest of the world to. Yeah. Let's see if we can get the rest of the world to get in line with us. Um, okay. Anything else at the moment? Obviously, I'm always open to doing more of these. As I'm in my. I'm out of town right now, as you can see from the different
Hmm.
background. But
Yeah.
we both have our schedules, but it's great that we find time, even with our time difference, to do these things. And
It's
I'm
always a
grateful that you're
pleasure.
sharing
It's
it.
always a pleasure.
Yeah, this. They're all informative. This one was particularly informative, and not just that, but like I said, you've come up with a solution on this one that is that I dare say is a viable solution. So
Yeah, it is. It
so
is.
so two people down, and eight and 7,998,998,998 to go. Let's get the rest of the world in line with this. But we've solved it. So Syfullah and Vladimir
I'm
Boomer
sure.
have
I'm
the
sure
answer.
you can add the civilian population of Pakistan to this list as well.
Of course,
The civilian population of Pakistan.
yeah.
Yes, they want this as well. They're
Yeah,
tired of
good,
it as
and
well.
that's important. That's important because
Mhm.
we're supposedly spreading democracy, and it would be nice if the majority of Pakistanis had the peace that they apparently want. So my heart does go out to the people of Pakistan who are getting caught in the crossfire on this, and let's see if we can bring this somehow to an end without we just want people to quote our president when he was a candidate. We just want people to stop dying. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
very important.
yeah. Well, and it's like you said, our goal in all this is to have the whole world have their fundamental right to a natural death, and we have
Yeah,
some work to do before we get there.
some yes.
So okay, was there anything else on this one, Syfullah?
Yeah, that would be all.
Okay, well, I'll say the words this time.
Yeah,
The boomers
have
have
blathered.
lathered. All right. We will be back with more.